everyone, and this is my stream floating poly, and what we're going to be doing today is to try and finish the rest of this text, like the hand painting texturing, in one go. So the bits that we have left, in my opinion, before trying to throw this into various discords and Reddits and forums for feedback, and Twitter obviously, is we've got these shoes to finish off, and we've got, I think, the skin to finish off as well. Everything else, as far as texture painting, is to a level that I think is okay, suitable for this project. It's been a long road. I think this has been about a week and a half. I think about almost maybe 9-10 sessions. Maybe I'm miscounting, but it's been quite interesting, and I think I've learned a lot, both about streaming and producing this project and keeping to a very tight schedule. So we're not going to dally around too much, but what I'd like to be able to do is to be able to finish it in one session, and if it means that the session has to be extended, that's okay. So this session could last 2 hours, it could last 3 hours, it could last 7 hours. No, I would like to think we could manage that within 3 hours. Let's see if we can. That's the goal anyway. So let's head over to Substance, and I think the place that we'll start are the shoes. I'm just going to pull my reference on my other screen. I love it when a window shows up on the other side. That's all right. The reference in particular I'm getting isn't super important. It's just just an image of the shoe that happened to be used as the reference. We're not actually taking the shoe exactly, because it's got a certain texture to it that I don't think is necessarily appropriate. Especially if we're looking towards figurine style rendering, it's just not super necessary to get that exact kind of texture. But the shape is what we want. The fact that the heel is different is kind of interesting, particularly with this sort of wooden sort of pattern, and it just gives us something to go off. But again, we're not looking to be exact. Okay, so let's move that back over. And yeah, here we go. So, like I said, I want to try and get this done this session. It's very shiny now, the boots, right, at this point in time. Right. Some parts of Substance will just need to load up. I had it loaded up a little while before starting during prep. Just look at the base, and at the moment there is a certain little gradient on there, but it would be quite nice if we could get more height, more definition on this sort of area, and suggest, there's a bit of suggestion already that it is over the top of it, but we'd like to maybe get some AO and some suggestion of height there. So let's just have a look what we have. Shoe over here, yeah. And as you can see, I think there is a little bit of height on there already. Yeah, might be worth increasing it a little bit. And also bearing in mind the stitch that's over that as well, which is also using another material ID where that's baked on. Okay. Got that area. This is all just gradients and things like that. I'm just going to throw them into a new folder. Just here. Here we are. Sadly, it doesn't do the Photoshop thing where in Photoshop, if you press and hold Shift, and then you click on group while you're selecting layers, it will put them in the folder. But unfortunately, it doesn't quite do that here. So I'm going to call this, like, say, gradient or something. It'll be interesting if it gets it. We've got a Japanese character in there. How interesting. It looks like a kanji anyway. Alright. Henny. Right, okay. Is my Japanese staying on? I can't see it here yet. Hang on. English, please. Let's check. English, right. I find quite funny. Thank you. Alright then. I haven't actually practiced like writing Japanese yet. I am learning the language, but I will eventually be moving into like actually learning to write it. So I'm just surprised that it even picked that up. So I don't have things like the stroke order or anything down. It's just reading it and trying to understand it. Anyway, right, so we got a gradient layer, and we're going to move up. We're going to call this paint. You know, typing it in might be slightly easier. We don't have too much time to waste. Okay. Stuck. Oh, it's just loading. Yes. It was saving in the middle of it. Right. Okay. Incidentally, I'm on a 1070 right now. GTX 1070, and I think that if the lockdown wasn't necessarily a thing, I would upgrade sooner. But what with the situation that we have, I think it's probably best to try and keep what I've got for now. Unfortunate, but you know, it's just what it is. Right, so higher roughness even, and darker color, something like that. Cavity, yeah. Probably what we still want to be using that, and also, yeah, we've got to make sure that we are applying the things like the cavity and all that stuff by the end as well. Right. Yep, all of that's fine. Right. The black mask. Paint on that. And it's pretty far away, so it's super simple. We just need to make sure that we're filtering, like we're filtered over, sorry, like masking over, sorry, to this area here. Right, so, okay, easiest way, get this in the folder. That'll do. Alright then. In there? Yeah, okay, cool. And black mask, color selection, pick, there we go. Like that, and let's just get painting. Alright. A bit lighter than that. Although we do want it to be consistent across it, it's not super important that it is the same amount all the way through, right? It doesn't need to be. It's not meant to be that precise, but definitely on 3. Need it on 3. I'll just rotate it around. There we go. Sometimes the free view becomes very, very tricky, but if you've ever used Unlock Cam in ZBrush, it's basically the same thing. It's almost like if there's a ball in the center of the screen, then it's almost like moving that ball according to the way that you click and drag, basically. So um, that might make it a little easier to think about. There are some flaws with the projection, so we can try and correct them via like painting and masking. You'll see over here, under some fairly serious scrutiny, right, that there is an issue over projection here. Right? Presumably, I can't remember if this is where like the seam is, but it's just something we'll have to try and correct using just painting, really, just the masking. No big deal. Right. Right, there we go. Much lower flow. Going back and forth, just want to make it a really nice, soft gradient that comes out from there. I'm going over it multiple times. It is working. It's just on a very low flow and opacity. It should be a very feathered brush. Sometimes I am like wondering if it is actually working. Okay. Well, it's just a little neat. Just there's a little pixely around there though, but unfortunately that's an aspect of the color, like the color ID. Might be a bit difficult to make that any smoother without adversely affecting the mask. You can try, but it might be best to leave it alone. But given how non-destructive Substance Painter is, it's probably worth a go at least. So, just that little bit there. That's a little weird. Okay, back over here, and yeah, so we should see like a lot of sort of occlusion there now. Bending it a little. Alright, whilst we're here, may as well try and fix that stitch mask. Check the mask itself. Alright, easiest way, I'll add the paint layer on top and just wrong side, of course. Work that mask up. Let me look on the other side. So this area is a bit more limited in terms of its textures, or it's more distorted. So it can be a little bit trickier, sadly. I think it's just a case that it needed more space than it had, which is unfortunate. I apologise, for some reason I seem to have a cold, I don't know. That's awful. Sorry. There. That is a really unfortunate seam placement. Sometimes placing your seams on the absolute middle, thinking that that's a decent place, is actually the wrong decision. In this case, it is very much the wrong decision. just a little bit distorted around here. Very difficult to get this line to look good. But there are ways. And like, remember, it's not going to be seen that close up, right? We're not looking to do massively close up shots of the backside of the leg or whatever, so, you know. It will be fine. This part next. Oops. Sadly, there might be some parts where it doesn't quite play that nicely. Presumably this may be because when this is unwrapped, this edge does not meet this edge. So even though we've tried to keep it all quite attached, at some point you must eventually deal with the fact that they're not going to meet. Because it's not a paint layer either, that may help. Try like anti-aliasing the rest of it as well. It might seem as jagged. There's a lot more resolution in that texture than it thinks. Like, you know, with the projection, it tends to be, you know, one or the other. even with certain tolerances being set up, it's still always going to be a very binary thing. All right, okay. Let's have a look at that. Okay, it's not too bad. It's still a little because of the low amount of paint, like, so it doesn't necessarily all connect up right. If you go back, so like it has to be pretty much white, because then otherwise it's sort of the height map doesn't allow for it if it's not over a certain threshold. So what you get is very sort of weird, like dotty in betweens, and then obviously just annoying things like that. going to meet up at any point there? No, they're very much different angles and very different in the like the way that they are, so that's unfortunate. If they were facing the same direction, it probably would go a little better, but unfortunately they're not. So it becomes a bit awkward with that. Alright. That's a bit smoothed out a bit more, that's alright. Let's smooth out the bottom a bit, maybe it needs it. Probably not. It probably couldn't hurt either. Just gonna yeah, there you go. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, that's a bit neater now. So let's just look at the base colour, see what we can do. Okay, so obviously there's a little bit of a gradient on there. We want a bit more activity going on. So should be pretty simple. However, gradients here. Let's just check. Yeah, these apply throughout all the model, like all of the shoe. Paint layers, obviously, we only want to apply to the specific parts, and it does mean that we're going to have to copy some masks over. That's okay. Copying the mask over, and I'm just this over and throw that in there. Move that. Alright, same thing, just painting some form in there a little bit. What's wrong with? Oops. starting to get kind of cold. I put my jacket on. It's so strange how the weather is bouncing around from, you know, stupidly cold at 7 o'clock in the morning to reasonable midday to boiling and cold again. Unpredictable in the UK right now. Hmm. Hmm. Alright, so how are we doing with that? Making a little bit of a difference, not a massive one, just a little bit. Hmm. That seems okay for a basic pass. Alright, let's do the next one. In the past, we've just done the AO4. It'd be nice to start painting in some more, like, not folds, just sort of more area. So we'll call one AO, and then we'll put the next layer beneath it. So something like that. And then we'll add on our paint. Yeah. So it's currently needs to be limited. Because right now it's got. Wait. Okay, that's not a problem though. Really simple actually. Alright, there we go. Now, right, gonna paint in some really sort of rough color, like patches, so to speak. We're not trying to like, well, we are going to shade it a little bit, but it's not totally, you know, for shading. A little bit of color on bottom. Is this was the was a bit messed up there. Right. We're not trying to make like do a massive amount of painting there, just enough to shade the thing with the top. Was that? Ah, it's over here. Alright. Slightly annoying thing is that this bit over here seems like it's not really going to be painted that well, presumably because of like masking issues. Or even just UV issues. But if you can get at it, know if that's part of that. No, it's part of AO anyway, so it's the wrong layer. Just realised, yeah, because it might be appropriate to make this bit more in full. It's missing. Just painting some soft lighting on the ends, so like in the inner part, it's almost like a little bit of AO. A very, very tiny amount of AO. saving substance there. Mm. Alright, so that's that bit done to a basic pass. We just want to do the underside now. Over here. Hmm. Mask. Isn't masking there to paste into it? Paste it into there, and there we are. I mean, there's not like that much you can do about the underside here, to be completely honest. Other than, paint that bit. Oops. There's some underneath here as well. I'm not struggling to paint it. Sometimes it doesn't quite be wanted to. Oh, the other side. There you go. Keep doing that. Oops, wrong side. Okay. Just a little bit more. Yeah. Oops. Although sometimes it does something where it just doesn't on. Oh wait, hang on. Oops. Need this to smooth out a lot more. Just really, really harsh at the moment. I want this to be a much smoother gradient, but it gets a bit hard sometimes when the flow control doesn't quite behave. Right. Yeah. Sorry. The only problem with free view is that the camera tends to be a little bit excited. Yes. Alright, so yeah, that aspect works. Maybe we could use a bit more, but for now it will work. Okay. Now the next bit is just tweak the wooden like part a little bit. There's already some height in there, but we're gonna need some like small amount of cavity, not too big, just a tiny bit. Now, this is the one where it's actually coming out, so actually you need that on one, and this cavity on a little lower. There, maybe a little more. This, sorry, roughness even. The upper part, so we'll put that at 8, and then this one's at 3, probably, yeah, I guess 3. 0.4 should be good enough. Okay. And this could probably go down a little bit more as well. But yeah, much more. Oh, hello. Uh, sorry. Sorry. Uh, and sorry about that. I think that there was something that the mic picked up that it shouldn't have. My deep apologies for that. Anyway, now, okay. Alright, where are we now? So, there are some seams, but I think we're just going to have to live with some of those for a little longer. It may come down to, like, if we really have to fix it, it's just, it's so disappointing there. Where's the stitch going? Mm, There's just a bit. That shouldn't be. Yeah, because it's also projecting on the normal. So the normal over here could probably use some correction, which is always a bit of a bother um, with that. But if it's something that we've got to do just to fix that, it's not a problem. Alright, where's normal here? Normal mixing is currently on combine and on replace for the moment. Uh, Obviously, you'll see that everything, like a lot of the normal detail just goes, which is unfortunate. But over here, on this fill layer, you just add a black mask first. Unfortunately, it doesn't like stop the rest of the how do we put it? It doesn't prevent the rest. Like if you put it on transparent, it doesn't then load the rest of the normal map. You have to then sort of load it in as a fill layer, which can be a little annoying, but that is just what we have to do. So give me just a sec. Oh, it might be called apparently. Or apparently it doesn't have a particular suffix or something. It does, it just doesn't want to show it apparently. Now it does. Right, whatever. Apparently it was just that it didn't like it when it was searching on the on that particular area. Alright, where is it? This one, right? No, 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 no. Where is it? should be there. Is it M3? Now there we are. I don't know why that's decided it doesn't want to. Oh, it's called something else. Sorry. So it's a little bit awkward. Yep, there we are. Right. Gotta load the actual. It was just weird. And now on normal here, this obviously needs to be just normal. So when I look at it, it should be okay, right? Okay. I think. I said no, I'm not seeing much difference. I'm not sure if it's actually rendering it or not. Yeah, it's definitely running there. So if I go and replace, well, it looks like it's there. If I just look on normal as the channel, right, yeah, I should see that. Okay. Even if it's a bit smaller, it's still there. There's some weird seam down there, I'm not sure why. Not related to that though. Okay. I'd like to get a really quick paint layer on normal. Surely on normal. There. Not strange. Is it because of height? Wait. Oh yeah. Sorry, it's because I'm on the other layer there. If I put it back, another go. Doesn't seem like much going on there. No, not going to work with that. Alright. And where is it? It's just this bit that's not colouring right. Being really annoying right now. Okay. This is the worst where like it doesn't paint on the mask and you don't know why. Or it's going to paint, but it's going to paint like really weird shapes. Really, really annoying. Really like it if it would just paint the correct way, but it's not doing it because the texture sizes are too different. Over here, it's just sort of it's not behaving correctly. Yeah. That's really, really messy. That was a very unfortunate seam. But even with me painting over here, for some reason it doesn't quite want to paint on it sometimes. Worth changing this to texture. Probably have to increase the hardness of it as well, just to try and get it to behave. But even then, it's not like accepting the pixel sizes. Maybe it's just that it thinks it's too small. Uh, something I should probably color this bit as well, because there's no need to have that hidden. Also, there's no need to leave this weird gap in there. All it does is mess with the stitch texture, and then adjust the stitches from there, which is fine. Every project is a lesson, though. Hopefully, like the lessons that you're learning with each project are more complicated. Like you're not having to like relearn like the simple things. Like if it was, I don't know, painting, you're hopefully not relearning for the 10th time how to blend colors or something, right? But that being said, some things do actually take a long time to learn. So, and sometimes you just make little mistakes. You don't notice until the end. Which I guess you could say is like a way of saying, you should check your work more carefully. Oops. And that's definitely fair, but it's not worth essentially beating yourself up for it. You know, you just have to. You either decide that you want to fix it, or accept it and apply it next time. And the effects stack. You are going to learn the lessons that come with each project. It's just I'll just set this to like viewport, I think, size space. Sense. Although it's gone on to that, that's really annoying. And just get this to try to apply at the same sort of place, right? And then whatever result we get from that, we'll just sort of have to take. If we have to repaint in like stitches, we'll do it. Anything to make it a little better. Right now, that's a lot. Like, if you can imagine that we just have to redo the AO bit there, that's not too bad. Well, I say that. There is a definite difference in fidelity there, but like I say, every project is a bit of a lesson, so you just have to take that on, apply it for next time. Wrong one. Yeah. Not a lot I can do about that yet. At this point, though, it is pretty far in to the process, so it's a little bit impractical for me to attempt to reproject. So, this then, I guess, comes to feedback. If people notice it, then I have to make that decision as to whether or not it's worth spending that much time to fix that. But if it's not really that noticeable, then it might be okay, and then we can just apply to next time. Yeah. Yes, definitely a fidelity issue here. All right. Yeah, it's very annoying that it's not so precise over there. All right. Okay. Now, just try and take this, copy it, go over to the other part that was dependent on it, and paste that in. If it would like to let me scroll, that would be great. Yeah, yeah. Paste into mask there, should replace it. wasn't that much to change anyway, but yeah, it's fine. Right. Inner part here. That mask come from again? I think it's a color selection, and then I adjusted it. Alright, that's fine. So all I need to do is I'll add it on as another paint part and adjust it from here. And as for the stitching there, I think what's going to have to happen is that we're going to have to actually redraw some of it, which is not ideal, but probably better than leaving it as is, or we do something where we kind of change the design and make it not so prominent, which would kind of suck because I do like them, but if we need to draw less attention to this error. Sometimes you don't see the flaws in the work until the end, and it can be very frustrating. You just have to remember that they're just, you know, little mistakes. If someone notices them, then yeah, that's all. You know, then yeah, it's obviously big enough to notice, but you know, they also might not. And you yourself will have to judge whether or not it's worth, you know, the time and expenditure of fixing them. Okay, so now that we've got that, and just to repaint this AO area, not to go too far. Some of this clearly needs to be dialed back a bit. Not there. Being kind of careful. Yeah. Oh dear. Oh. It's taken a lot longer than I would have liked on this section. I did think I would finish this a little quicker, but that's okay. We've got time. Right, back to AO. Oh yeah, other side. It's not that much better. That's unfortunate. Uh, this above, above. Yep. Okay. A bit further. Okay. All right. It's obviously still very. Even though that's perfectly white, it's still having a bit of a fit with it. I don't know why. That's white. It might very well be the best that we can get out of that bit for now. Maybe we're just going with that, and then going to the stitches and trying to make the best of them. Right, over here, that's that there, which clearly is mismatched. So what we'll do first is just erase a lot of this for now. We also need to sort of erase the normal map as well. That's easy enough though. And then go here. Okay, that's all up. And just sort of kind of paint them in. I mean, it's low enough that we can do this, right? And it's on the inner side as well, so the inner side is a lot less noticeable. So hopefully we can kind of get away with it a little bit. Not that much, but you know. The only thing is that it starts to get like slowly bigger and bigger. And obviously this bit here that just sort of becomes very difficult to understand. Okay, so that's not too bad there, but then the problem that we have is just this join. Join back. So we might have to play with it a bit, so to speak. It doesn't go down where it should go down. It's almost like it's vertex painted. I don't know why. I even need to make it like a real shape. It just refuses to paint in places. Hmm. Yeah, that's desperate. Maybe it might work if we just don't paint anything in that little bit. Oh dear. Or that we pretend the gap is just that large. I mean, if it's from far away enough, it's okay, or you just don't look at it. But if it is visible, it becomes a problem. And also, there's like some weird height there. What the? Struggle. Weird dark area there. What? Apparently, it comes from here. The heck? Where did it come from then? Clearly, it's not there. bit smoother anyway. Mm. It wasn't exactly my intention to spend 2 hours faffing about on shoes. Uh, hmm. While I'm here. Why isn't this bit erasing? I know that it belongs on there, but it's not on the mask. Oh, right. Okay. Right, so it's part of the height map, but there's something. I have to lower the height as well because that's probably one thing that's really screwing me over right now. Uh, Doesn't seem to be working, this one. Oh, it's not erasing. That's weird. It's a fill layer with a generic colour, but it doesn't paint on. But I see that they're clearly on there, but it's just not affecting it. But it works. Oh, now it does. What? I don't even. Sometimes it just sort of chooses when to work and when not to. I don't know. And clearly, I missed something, but that's kind of annoying. Maybe it was just like masked or something. So, anyway, so what I'm just doing here is just erasing the old stitch lines there. They're not really needed anymore. Obviously, we don't. Wait. Okay, so see how it like started working and then it saved and now it just doesn't work anymore. No, it works over there. Weird. I'm just trying to see if I can paint out that seam. Not very well, apparently. Had some effect for the bottom, but not a lot else for the others. Presumably, it's a different kind of seam over there, but at the very least, that helps remove the issue with the old part there, but there is also the problem of AO. And thankfully, that's the only other one where that's a problem. Let's try and have a look. Occlusion, same deal. Right, so that's going to need the base on here as well. 8.0. I think it's this one. Yep, this one. Yep. Go that on. Go over to our sort of corrective layer. AO1, okay. The ambient occlusion combine is on multiply, needs to be replaced. It may also be that it may default to multiply on there. We need it on normal there. There we go. Just hit that. Obviously, there's problems there. Turn it down until we see none. Although, in fairness, it's all, yeah, a bit hopeful. Here, just try and remove it. Other side, try and remove that there. Any other issues are you're just going to have to deal with. It may very well just be that it's a task where, yeah, it just has to be fixed by reprojection, and that's going to be a lot more work. But oh well. Hopefully we'll try and salvage as much of this as possible. Alright. What we can do now is just take a look in Marmoset, see if this is okay. Clothing one, I think it was. That's really annoying. That's arguably worse than we had it before. Get that bit to be just I don't know. I don't understand why that's playing up so much. UVs are not amazing. They shouldn't be that starved for space. Should be more than enough. Yeah, that should be much more than enough. More than capable. Just don't understand that issue there. Shouldn't be happening. the output so I can replace the thing I did there? Oh, for God's sake. Well, no, that's not even there. It's going to be a case where we'll just have to judge if it's important enough to fix in the most more long-winded way. May very well be. Hmm? Do that. It would just maintain the spot that I was actually clicking on. Oh, it's over here. I guess that's the most I can do there for them. Right, let's do some adjustments on these colours because they're a bit drab. They're definitely on a bit on the dull side, but yeah, just right. Down a bit. Okay. That's okay. Okay. That'll do. Mm, yeah, I think that's the best we can hope for with that. I mean, there is still a little mark, but it's not too bad, or at least not as bad as when I was editing it. Okay. Moving the light around overlooks then. Okay, alright then. Normal. Sorry, the light is better than normal. Okay. Alright, so the last bit of painting before we try and incorporate SSS into everything is skin. So thankfully there's not that much to it. Oops. Okay. And most of this is kind of done already, so that's not too bad. It's just basic gradient painting at the moment, and just a little bit here and there. But there are some roughness adjustments that I think could do with some changes. So we're just going to go through and take bits off just to get to the in rendering. When we look at the model here, just got no eyelashes and stuff like that, and I believe there is looking deep within here. Yeah. Okay. Move. Oh, right. That was a bit weird. Anyway, yeah, so now if we just get at that, I don't know why the origin is all the way down on the floor, but whatever. And exploding this a little bit, just so we can see it. So we've got a very simple sort of beef tongue and other stuff like that. We could subdivide it like later down the line as well, just like if we needed like particular shapes and stuff. But for now, this will be fine. All right, so and at the moment, of course, obviously the roughness values that they've got are much higher than they need to be. I think. Oh, not that one. We already had it. Okay. And for substance to sort of load. This roughness value could probably be about maybe 0.5. Teeth would probably be something similar. Maybe about 0.55. Okay, so there's a start. The innard of the mouth, sometimes called a mouth bag, we're going to have that a bit more matte as well, so about 0.62. We don't necessarily want it reflecting like loads and loads of light back. Okay, nails over here, they're at 0.2, probably go a bit higher, like 0.47 or something. Just we don't need it to reflect that much, but at the same time, nails may have. Well, obviously they're a lot smoother than most of the surfaces, of course, so they do reflect a fair amount of light back. All right, and then we get into the more the interesting stuff, I guess. So. Right, so the first thing is, where's this? This apparently is on the left side of the face. What? It's on. I see eyelashes. No, never mind. Right, so if we look here, there they are. Right. And if we look at this here, yeah, so they're just basically a bit of colouring on the eyelashes there. Nothing too fancy or complicated about them. This bit here, yeah, that's the actual eyelash colour. Again, nothing too desperate for, other than maybe increasing the roughness a little bit more. Right, cool. That's our basic sort of paint group. So we've got things like the blush there, and some like pseudo line work for like the eyelid. Which just show up over here as well. And then of course I think there's a darker layer. Yeah, so there's like an eyeshadow layer here. At the moment, however, the roughness is just way too low, so it's going to be something more to the effect of like 0.54, because it's just too glossy right now. I mean, there should be some level of gloss in there, but it was just way too much. That seems reasonable for substance. Because you can see a little bit of specular dancing on there. Okay, cool. And like to I do wonder sometimes why it does that. Okay, over here we've got like a sort of darkening mask, and what this does is just goes over the sort of top lip and basically applies a shade of colour over it. You look on roughness, it decreases the roughness as well, and adds on this little shadow here. And so it's supposed to just add an extra level of depth, really. Lips are there. What's the roughness that we got on there? 0.23. It might be a little too smooth, because I can't see any kind of specular highlight on it properly when I'm looking at it in Marmoset, and that should be much more obvious. Right, so 0.3 might help a little bit. Dark paint here is just a sort of generic kind of darkness sort of amount that's going around the face underneath, and I think that there should probably be some more around here as well, so we're just going to really quickly add some of that on. Maybe not that harshly, but a little bit, There you go. Should definitely be some level of darkness underneath the neck. Right, that's another layer. So we've got one, and we've got another one. Right, so a really big coating of darkness, and then there's just a little bit. And again, this one's governed by like the AO though, so if we do paint stuff on top of it, probably should be on an actual paint layer instead. So painting on it's actually disabled. So this is a darkness layer, so we're just going to but the paint space is wrong. So put that on camera. Space object for now, I guess. Something like that for now. And then we're going to switch back over. Paint on that a couple of times just to sort of make sure that that we're getting the neck there. Move it. Smooth, I just mean apply paint lightly. The only problem with this is that you can potentially end up with a seam over there, which is really, really awkward. But we're not trying to make it like super extra dark or anything. We just want a little bit. It can be problematic with meshes that have like separations like that. But obviously you have to do that with some things anyway. So you know, a bit of a double-edged sword there. I guess the piece of advice I've got with that is just to simply try and maintain consistency. Alright, let's have a look. Yeah, seems like it's working. I guess the thing as well is that all of the skin is affected by SSS. Although obviously some areas are more affected than others. So I guess that's the next consideration after we just check the arms and just go through, see if it's worth painting anything extra on them. Done with the head. Let's look at the arms. Okay, so all right, that's what we've got right now. When we take the shading away, that's what we get. Okay. Like the inner part of the hands, so the palms tend to be much more red, usually. A little bit. More painting on there? Yeah. Already being painted on. I think that there should be just a little bit more on the fingers as well. A little bit. Let's check the colour, base colour as well. See that there's a slight error over here as well, presumably cross projection, which is just in between. It's very difficult for most people to see, of course. You won't really find that happening. It's a little bit unfortunate though. Still, I wouldn't worry like too much. You have to go pretty out of your way to find that one, so that's okay. Okay. The tips of the fingers also tend to have a little bit colour like that, like little bits of red on the end. Maybe not like extreme like this though, so that might need some correction. But yeah, we definitely want to try and incorporate a gradient changes. If we're going for figurine. this as well. Yeah. So these are like fingertip areas. I think that's coming from the AO. I think. Yep. And that just means that they need just a little bit of adjustment. Right now, we could mess around with the balance and work out, stuff, but then it just affects the rest of the model. The rest of the texture. So again, just add a paint layer and take away your problem areas. So over here, just lightly dabbing onto it. Yeah, because it doesn't need to be like that crazy strong. And I'm just doing it really lightly with the soft brush so that I'm trying to achieve like, very, very soft erase of it. It seems to work. Okay, and that's only the base color layer. When we look at the actual, the full-on layer, seems okay. The only thing is just that the roughness might be a bit, shall we say, maybe it's just not smooth enough. So this then is where I guess we can try and make changes there. At the moment it's on 0.8. I'm just checking that that's not going to affect everything else. That's fine. Okay, so we're going to go on something like, I don't know, 0.62 or something, like that. So there's, what happens if we go a little further? Like maybe 0.5, 0.48. Okay, so there we go. So that way we're getting some little bits of shade there. But then I want to add on more roughness with things like AO and stuff. So when the roughness comes on as a result of AO, 6.4, absolutely. Maybe this one, right? This roughness is on 0.3. Maybe that's not particularly wise. Maybe point. More the sort of hand area. Okay, so I guess hands are kind of a bit of a problem area. I guess they are a bit rougher, so we can increase that a bit. Am I on the right layer? Probably not. We'll increase the roughness on the hands then. Maybe a little further down. Okay, that might be an improvement. Go over here as well and just paint some in between there. Obviously nowhere near that high. We don't want to go too far into that because, you go too far, it's just suggesting age. And nobody knows how old Sakia might be, but she's definitely not got the look of an old person, so probably shouldn't attempt to replicate that. Just there. Okay. Putting a little bit of colour over there as well. Just a bit of colour. There you go. But the sort of like this area is always confusing. Like, in fairness on, figurines and stuff, this tends to not be too detailed, that much, and the more that you add, the worse it sort of gets. So, and even then, I'm on an area called hands paint, so I should probably not do it there. Now over here, let's try it over here maybe instead. Add paint. What is this? Ah, I see. Right. Alright, I've reached the top of the layer. Derp. Yes, I should be painting on a different layer if I wanted to do that. That was slightly silly. Oh, lower that. Oh, go down a bit. So here, I just want to apply a little bit of shading, not a lot, just tiny amount. Like, if you apply more, it's going to be maybe too much. Yeah. It's awkward now. I really wanted to get SSS done with this, but unfortunately, it does seem that I've really messed up with the boots there, and it's really taken a lot of time up for this session, which is very disappointing. But what I want to do is try and get some SSS applied on, and then I'll send it out for feedback today. So it'll be on Twitter, it'll be on some various Discords which you may or may not travel on, or troll on, or whichever troll on maybe. And if you come across it, it would be like any feedback would be appreciated immensely. So if you've got that kind of time or any suggestions, it would be really good to hear some suggestions in terms of how to improve it. So let's finish off this thing. Okay. We'll have to do the I'll have to do the SSS part offline, and hopefully it won't take too long. Shouldn't do. It's reasonably simple, right? Oh. Okay. That's a little bit of arm painting added on. Back to main. A bit of a sharp issue there. Soften that a little bit. Soften it more. A little bit there. There's some forms that I just want to try and get in as well. And this is not like super muscular or anything, but there should probably be some indication, right? Like just a little, not a massive amount, just a little bit. All right. Okay. So that, I think that's good enough for now. As in, just to test the whole, texture painting and all of that stuff. Probably have to do the SSS off stream, and like for the next stream we'll go into like how I've done it. It shouldn't be too complicated to explain, but it would just basically be the exact same thing as we did with the tights. It's just that it's applying it across the whole model. Most of it probably won't even really need it, and will just be simple flat values. Okay, right. Switch over to Marmoset in full. Okay, there we are. Has it loaded it? Oh, I didn't even. I exported the wrong part, so I needed to do this. There we go. Alright, just exporting the correct part now. Right, so the textures didn't quite. Yeah. Alright. Okay, so now that's with the corrected texture, so we can see that the tongue note doesn't have quite as shiny a finish, but it's still a bit. Yeah. I don't mind it too much being like the solid ink that badly, but I think we could probably do with putting a little gradient on it. But we can do that after, because that involves just basically exploding the mesh a bit, because we can't access it right now. And even then, I think that one kind of explains itself. If I just put the eyelashes back on, actually, find them. That should be on anyway. Right, so, yeah, actually, that's not too bad. Obviously, ignore the, the marmoset sort of dithering on the eye shield. That's just because marmoset doesn't really deal with proper alphas, at least not unless you specify it, but then you have depth problems. That's why dithering exists, which allows for sort of transparency. Anyway, so that seems okay. I think that seems alright. Alright, then this bit here, yeah, definitely way too glossy. So you see how in Marmoset and in Substance, your render changes so drastically? Yep. So we're just going to quickly adjust some value. Just really quickly get to the arms. It should just be a case of finding this base value, drag that up to about 0.6. And look for the other parts. Is this on 0.6, maybe about 0.75. This one, so about 0.75, 0.77, something like that. Right, save that, export again, and it should improve a lot more when it takes the time to actually export to get itself together. But from what I understand, Substance is purely GPU based, so having a 1070 it was good for that time, but maybe it's just not good enough now. I'm not sure. Or maybe it's just that the project is just really big. Alright, that's Mm, still a little bit. All right, one more time. We're just going to go ahead and uh, increase that to about 0.84, and then the base layer to about 0.75, 0.73. There's a more complicated the geometry is. I think the and I don't mean this in a sort of like poly count kind of way. Like if you have a sphere and you just increase the polys on it, right, that doesn't really make much difference. But when you have like geometry that changes angles a lot, I think that's where roughness tends to be affected more. So because arms are kind of simple, it's very easy for a line to be drawn there. So that's much better now. That makes much more sense. All right. I don't think we'll ever go this close to fingernails, so it's probably okay. But I might take a look at like the way that's going as well. But it's not the end of the world. All right. So in terms of texture painting, right, we're basically done. In terms of feedback, I just need to fix some of the SSS stuff. I'll do that offline, and then I'm going to post the results around for critique and such, and then we'll be able to decide what actions to take from there. So that's yeah. I really, really didn't expect the Bake Unleashed boots to have turned out that badly. It's so unfortunate. I think that's still got the local reflections. There we go. That's off now. There we go. Right, because you can save those for like the proper renders and such. So, uh, with that said, thank you so much for if you have been watching yet. That's absolutely grand of you. If you do find the time to respond to like feedback, the the posts I'll be sending out just to sort of ask how it's going and how it's doing, that would be great as well. I just need to undo the movements there, which was slightly dumb. But yes, thank you so much for listening, and I think I've hit the undo history. That's unfortunate. Oh, it's not like this is not the end of the world. It's not Control Y, is it? No, it's Control Shift Z to the side. All right. Ah. All right then. Fine. I'll just do it myself. Right. Sorry, getting super distracted. Yeah. Alright, yeah. Let me just very quickly put that a proper, or try to. I think it's something like that. Try and get that back in. There we go. Alrighty then. Thank you so much for watching. If you've got time to respond to any of the feedback posts I'll be making over the next sort of few days, I'd greatly appreciate that. And until next time, yeah, good day, and hopefully I will see you next time. Alright, thank you so much. Bye bye.